everybody, once again, this is BC Begley, and these are your news headlines for December the 6th of 2022. Elon Musk's Neuralink faces federal probe and employee backlash over the animal testing. Elon Musk's Neuralink, which is a medical device company, is under federal investigation for potential animal welfare violations amid internal staff complaints that its animal testing is being rushed, causing needless suffering and deaths, according to documents reviewed by Reuters and sources familiar with the investigation and company operations. Ukraine hits Russian airfields and Moscow strikes back with missile barrage. Ukraine struck 2 airfields deep within Russia on Monday, prompting a full strike from Moscow that hit civilian buildings and infrastructure and raising the specter of further escalation in the 9-month-old conflict. The Real ID deadline for air travelers has been extended by 2 years. Air travelers will now have 2 more years to upgrade their licenses and other forms of identification to the Real ID compliant. The Department of Homeland Security announced on Monday the new deadline will be May the 7th of 2025, allowing Americans more time following delays caused by the COVID pandemic. The old cutoff was slated for May the 3rd of 2023. Elon Musk's Twitter files revealing censorship of Hunter Biden laptop story is a, quote, distraction, the White House says. White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre on Monday dismissed Elon Musk's release of the so-called Twitter files as a, quote, distraction at a time when she says the platform is facing a rise in hate speech. Michael Avenatti was sentenced to 14 years in prison for stealing millions of dollars from his clients. Disgraced attorney Michael Avenatti, who was sentenced on Monday to 14 years in prison and ordered to pay nearly $11 million in restitution for embezzling millions of dollars from 4 of his clients and obstruction. Ex-Miami United States Representative David Rivera has been arrested in Venezuela probe. A former Miami congressman who signed a $50 million consulting contract with Venezuela's socialist government was arrested on Monday on charges of money laundering and representing a foreign government without registering. Ron DeSantis says FEMA denied emergency aid request, and the state will now provide $25 million for hurricane victims. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis announced on Monday that the state will provide $25 million in emergency housing assistance for hurricane-impacted Floridians after he said the Federal Emergency Management Agency, or known as FEMA, denied the state's request. Kirstie Alley, an Emmy-winning Cheers star, dies at age 71. Kirstie Alley, a 2-time Emmy winner whose roles on the TV mega hit Cheers and in the Look Who's Talking films made her one of the biggest stars in American comedy in the late 1980s and the early 1990s, died on Monday. She was 71 years old. Jury deliberations begin in Trump Organization tax fraud trial. The jury began deliberations on Monday in the tax fraud trial of the Trump Organization, which is accused of a sweeping 15-year scheme to compensate top executives of former President Donald Trump's company off the books. Indonesian volcano erupts, releasing a river of lava. Indonesia's tallest volcano erupted on Sunday, sending a river of lava across the terrain of the country's most populated island and clouds of ash up into the sky, according to reports. The Sudan Army unveil a new deal that will return civilian rule. Military leaders in Sudan have agreed to hand back power to civilian groups in a significant move to end the ongoing political crisis. Blinken warns Netanyahu on annexation of occupied West Bank. United States Secretary of State Antony Blinken has pledged to oppose Israeli settlements or annexation in the occupied West Bank. A former Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is set to return to power. Dozens are killed in Colombia after mudslide buries a bus. A mudslide unleashed by torrential rainfall buried a bus and 2 other vehicles in central Colombia, killing at least 27 people and leaving others trapped as rescue workers tried to reach them in the wreckage on Monday. Protesters in Mongolia attempted to storm the state palace. Thousands of people have braved freezing temperatures in Mongolia's capital to protest against alleged corruption in the country's coal industry and soaring inflation, with some later attempting to storm the government house. 2,500 dead seals have been found on Russia's Caspian coast. About 2,500 seals have been found dead on the Caspian Sea coast in southern Russia, officials said on Sunday. Authorities in the Russian province of Dagestan said it was unclear why the mass die-off happened, but that it was likely due to natural causes. Bitcoin's bearish futures are signaling a slowdown in the year 2023. Bearish traders are signaling that crypto losses will continue into next year as risk-averse firms scale back from a market roiled by the implosion of digital assets exchange FTX. And a North Carolina county declares a state of emergency after, quote, deliberate attack causes widespread power outage. Moore County, North Carolina has declared a state of emergency as power outages continue after a deliberate attack over the weekend in which gunfire damaged 2 substations, and the attack left roughly 45,000 people without power in that county in North Carolina. And guys, all of the links for the articles that I have covered in this video can be found in the description, and you can find more news stories, videos, and articles on my website at bcbegley.com. You know, I don't think we're putting our best foot forward here. I don't think we are.